Hey, I need you to send an email to Nick Peruski. So, can you just look up the events that are going on in Charlotte, North Carolina next weekend and get a summary of that and send it in an email to Nick? Also, I will need you to get my availability for next Saturday and also send that in the email. Also, was there any unread emails that I had for today?
You sent an email to Nick Peruski with information about events in Charlotte, North Carolina happening next weekend, and you included your availability for next Saturday. You also currently have no unread emails. Let me know if there's anything else you need.
In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create an insane personal assistant that could do just about anything for you, very similar to Jarvis from Iron Man, where it'll perform actions for you and talk back with you. Now, obviously, this didn't sound like Jarvis, if you couldn't tell, because I wanted my own assistant to sound a bit more pleasant, but I'll show you how you can use it to set up literally sound like any person that you would like. Now, if you've watched my past videos, this video will be an upgrade, if you will, on one of my videos from a couple months ago, going over how to build a personal AI assistant that could do anything for you. So make sure you stick around to the end because I'll be telling you how you can get access to this system and implement it straight into your own account ready to use. Also, really quick, I wanted to give a shout out to AI Workshop for inspiring this idea. Nick Peru here. If you don't know who I am, I'm on a mission to make scaling easy for businesses by helping them automate their operations and eliminate the need to increase headcount. So if you're a business owner and you want to automate your operations to drive revenue and create leverage within your business, there's a link in the description that might be worth a look. Also, if you want to learn how to do it yourself and become an expert in building agents, join my community using the link down below. I have in-depth tutorials, weekly calls, templates, guides, direct message access to me 24/7, and guest speakers. To get started, I wanted to give you guys a quick overview of what this system actually looks like, all the tasks that it can perform, and just going over all the steps in depth. Now, we're not going to be building this all out step by step, so I will just get as in depth as possible for you anyways. Right away, as you saw in the beginning, we were using a Telegram app to basically talk back and forth with this AI agent. Now, you can use many different other forms. So if you just wanted to text it via Siri, so you're texting an actual number, you could use something like Twilio to create a number and text it. Or you can also use Skype to create a number. Now, with that being said, you could also deploy this within Slack or, anywhere else really. So WhatsApp, whatever. If you have an internal communication platform like Slack or something like that, and you want your team to be able to use this, or if you're just using it for personal use, it's really viable for pretty much any solution that you're looking for. So whatever preference you prefer, you can use. Now, obviously we have this Telegram trigger. All we're just doing is watching for new messages, and then it's running into this if node. So this is basically filtering if we're going to be sending it a voice note or if we're going to be sending it a text. So obviously two different entities right there. So we have to split that up because if we're using a voice note, we have to transcribe that voice note and put it into text so we can later give it to this AI tools agent so it can actually understand what we're saying. Okay. So right here, we're just doing a get audio file from the Telegram trigger. Then we're giving it to ChatGPT to have it process this information. So we're not really changing anything about this. Just make sure you're using transcribing a recording. And from there, we're just handing all that information into our tools agent where it's taking all this input. So it's taking either the text or it's taking the voice note. So I included both options as the input for the system because, it'll get one or the other. And you could put both of them in there at the same time. Now, for the prompt, I won't get too in-depth about this, but essentially what I'm saying is you're a helpful assistant that responds to user requests in a friendly and professional way. Here's today's date, and I just gave it the JSON for today's date, which is just now. Very simple stuff. For the guidelines, I'll give you one example. So for the email management, I just say use the read email tool to fetch unread emails from the inbox. So obviously this is just focusing on finding the unread emails. So I could ask myself, I could text the agent and say, hey, can you get my emails that I haven't read for today? And you can also have it summarize it. So there's so much you can build on with this in this agent. Now we gave it the calculator. So use this calculator tool for any arithmetics or mathematical queries and a lot more. Now for this entire prompt, you can find that within my community. Link is down below for that. Okay. Next, what we have is we're just going to explain all the different tools and what I've chosen for this. Now, I've kept it relatively simple and kind of bare bones for now. So we just have simple admin things like setting calendar, getting the calendar, all that. But, in the past, like one of my most recent videos, we've done things where you could call tools where it can actually call somebody and use AI to have conversations and perform specific tasks on that call. So if you want to check out that video and see how you can use AI to literally call somebody and have a full-on realistic sounding conversation with whoever you would like. So for example, if you want to call your dentist and book an appointment and have the AI do it for you, then that's totally possible. You could plop that right into this agent, and it'll just be another tool or another action that it can perform on top of all these different admin ones. So check out that video if you would like to see how we built that out and how it works exactly. But anyways, we're keeping this relatively simple, as I just said. So let's go over all the actions that we have included. So one of the things that we said in the demo was asking it to send the events for Charlotte next weekend. And what it's doing is it's basically using SERP API to, I'll pull this up really quick. All I do is just put my API in here, but it's searching in Google to find all those events that are going on. So essentially, this just queries any request to allow you to search the internet. Now, you could use Perplexity, which is something a little bit more thorough, and we'll be able to do a little bit more research. You could even include both if you would like SERP and Perplexity. It just so happens that SERP already had an integration, so I wanted to use that to search the internet for myself. Okay, then obviously we just included the calculator. Not like I'll probably ever use it, but it's just another additive little kicker right there. Okay. We have Notion here. So for me personally, I use my to-do list within Notion. So if I have tasks to do, I put it in a Notion. Now these tasks are different from our project management tasks. So for project management, we typically use Airtable for most of our client projects and all of that. But anyways, if I wanted to call the agent and say, hey, can you just create a task so I don't forget later to write a YouTube video or script a YouTube video, whatever. You can do so. Okay, and here's kind of what that looks like. I'm just connecting it to my pages and everything, and we're using the new from AI update. So this just allows us to connect to the tools agent very simply without having to build out a very long-winded and detailed custom workflow, similar to this workflow right here, because it is a little bit more, it gets a little bit more in depth when you have to build these out using these custom tools. So it's a lot easier when you can just call the application as is and just connecting it straight to the tools agent. Okay. Next, we obviously have the send and the read emails. So within the read email, I'll move this over. We're basically just asking it to get the specific dates and everything. So I believe in the demo, I said, get my emails for today. So it's just going to check if there's any unread emails, and you could even change this to get all your emails. So it really depends what you're looking for and what works for you. Okay. And then the send email is very straightforward. We're using the from AI again. And really quick, I'll just give you a quick analyzation of how this from AI works. So if you do double curly brackets, make sure you're in the expression node. And I'll just type in the $. You can see all these different parameters that you can include here under JSON. So these will get very specific on how they work, and you can open up the documentation to see how they work if you need a very detailed response or detailed analysis on how it's working out in the back end. Okay, so I'm just using from AI, and who we're sending it to, we're just saying email address, which we're getting from the tools agent. Okay, we also put on append N8N attribution, and this, if you don't turn this on, or turn it off rather, this will basically say the email is from N8N, which obviously we don't want. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off because for some reason it already wasn't. The set calendar, this is just going to automatically create calendar events. So if within the agent, if I wanted to text it and say something as well. So you could do a plethora of different actions within one request. So I said, can you send in my availability? But I could also say to book a call with him for Sunday at 4 p.m. whatever. So because we're having the current date variable and the tool agent has that context, it can find when Sunday is and make sure that it's the right date and hook up that event date and also invite him. Now, as I said, we use Airtable for our project management tools. So for getting tasks and everything like that, we have it routed up to that. we're not going to focus too much within that space. But for example, we have our company contacts in Airtable. So this is all dummy data, and I just use it for hypothetical purposes for this video. So for example, let's say this is our company data, and we want to give it all this information to our agent. So, we have Nick Peruski, which is obviously me, and then a bunch of other fake names. So what I'm doing is I'm allowing our agent to search all this information. So if I say, hey, can you email Nick? It's going to say, okay, I'm going to search Airtable. I'm going to try to find Nick and find the appropriate email that's associated with that name. So as you saw earlier, it sent it to the exact email that I was looking for and performed the request successfully. Now, this is very similar to Pinecone. So it's essentially running, it's not running a vector search. So a vector search is, allowing it to be very efficient when it comes to pulling and using information, also known as RAG, retrieval augmented generation. And why I used this instead of just Pinecone is, I wanted to show you that, there's a lot of different ways that you could go about getting information. So one, I could have just uploaded this information, so a Google Doc of basically all this stuff, all this data. I could have just uploaded it into my Pinecone using a tool like this, where it's searching my Google Drive, downloading that information, and then storing it within Pinecone. But, I just wide use cases of, being able to use the company data that you're talking with and putting it into your other tools for various different actions. So I kept this vector tool in here just in case any of you guys who may want to use the vector database for whatever reason it may be. So I kept it in there, but we're not really using it within this tool. I will just translate that. Next up, what we're using is 11 Labs to actually create the voice agent, which is going to be responding back to us. So as you remember, I just used a lady voice, but you could also use something like Morgan Freeman's voice, or as in the title. So I'll come over into 11 Labs. Okay, so that's what Jarvis sound like. And if I go to what we use, this is just
love all, trust a few, do wrong to none.
So that's what we used, and all we had to do to input that into our agent is we go to view and we copy the ID. And what we're doing with this is I'll back up a little bit further. So once we get a result from the tools agent, we want some AI to summarize that information, because we don't want the agent to give us, every little thing that the output has generated. So I said you are to summarize the text as you're going to be shortly explaining it and what occurred. From there, we create an HTTP request to take all this information from the agent and give it to 11 Labs and create a text to speech, which can then consequently be sent back to us within Telegram. Okay, so we're making a post API or HTTP request. So we're inputting the endpoints, and where you can find this, and this goes for literally anything. You can search up the API documentation. So all I'll do is just search up API documentation 11 Labs, and you'll be able to find any endpoint and any headers or anything that you might need to include within your parameters. So find all that information right there. I'm going to go back to the agent. So I inputted my API key and all those specific headers. So I will say you have to stringify your data. So what I did is I inputted the data from ChatGPT, so the previous node that we just used, which is going to summarize the information. So this is what's going to be the text and what the agent is going to be saying back to us. So that summarized data that I was just talking about, this is the input for that. So it'll say something like, hi, here is the things that I've done. So relatively straightforward. I just said, here's the text, and make sure you're using this as JSON. Okay, I will back out. And from there, we're essentially just giving it to Telegram, and it's really finished. We also include another node to also just send that text to us. It's not completely necessary, but it will give you a list or an output of the of the response, and it will also send that summary and covering or encompassing, the output. So that's really it. It's a relatively straightforward build, but I just wanted to show you how you can use something cool and get really creative, like using 11 labs and talk back to you, which I think it's something super awesome, and I think this will inspire a lot of different ideas from here. So please use this to leverage yourself and build even cooler things and share it with me. I would love to see what you guys come up with. But if you guys would like access to this resource, then I will have it available within my community, which I have just created. So we go over tutorials and specific courses on learning N8N and much more in-depth stuff. And it's ultimately just a community of like-minded individuals who are on a path to, either sell these systems to business owners or use them internally to scale their operations. But yeah, so check out the link down below in the description for more information on all of that. And if you're a business owner and you're looking to automate your operations to drive revenue and create leverage within your business, there's a link down below in the description that might be worth a look. Anyways, I hope you guys found some value in this video, and I will see you in the next one.